I think people have got arguments all wrong. Let's find out what the heck I'm talking about. Since I was young, I've been in a lot of different teams. And one thing that I've always observed is that disagreements happen in pretty much any situation where people are together. It's natural, whether you're working together or a romantic couple or family or friends or any other sort of team environment. People are just gonna have different opinions at times. And over the years, especially after 6 years of coaching, I've come to this place where I've seen pretty much every sort of disagreement. I've also coached esports for 3 years, which is very high stress, and there are a lot of high intensity discussions that go on. I was coaching a team recently that got knocked out of a tournament, and they had a very set of heated conversations after the match. Different opinions on what went wrong, what we should have done differently. And most people in a normal work environment probably would have been like, hey guys, like cut it out. Like this is messed up, like let's stop. And a lot of times, even me as a coach would say like, hey, let's all take 15 minutes and just chill before we actually talk about what happened. That gives us some time to reset and like calm down the heated emotions and sort of like reflect. But on the day of that tournament, I did not tell my team to do that. I actually just let them argue and let them deliberate. And a lot of people who might have come in from a regular work environment and saw this type of like heated argument with a lot of strong voices would have probably been like, wow, this is not healthy. And I think that's a pretty common take. But what if arguments aren't all bad? And what if they can even be really good? Hey, I'm Ken Zhou. I've been a mental performance coach, a life coach, and I'm currently a master's student in applied positive psychology at the University of Pennsylvania. And over the course of coaching and just being an adult human being, I've seen a lot of arguments within teams, especially as you get to more and more competitive environments. Sometimes arguments can break down communication lines where people stop talking to each other because they're afraid of something breaking out, or they just want to avoid the conflict. Some arguments can get so bad that team members can actually start mentally checking out because they don't want to be on the team anymore, and so they completely stop engaging with each other. And I think that we have all seen arguments that straight up get ugly because people are being immature or they're getting personal, and it becomes completely destructive. And so whenever you hear heated discussion where people disagree and they're trying to bring up people's different views, it's very natural and great in us to go like, hey guys, like we gotta stop, we gotta chill, like come on, let's separate. And so that's why the common conclusion is that arguments aren't great and that people should stop when it begins. But here's the thing, I have always loved watching people behave, and the thing that I've noticed is that just because people don't argue doesn't mean that they're getting along, and doesn't mean that they agree or collaborate with each other. Sometimes they absolutely disagree and despise each other, but on the surface level, it looks like everything is fine and dandy. And that just means that people are disagreeing and have gripes with each other potentially, but they aren't vocalizing it. They're not being truthful about it because either they don't have a good relationship or they don't know how to vocalize it healthfully to one another. And so they bottle it up and they sweep it under the rug. Or they're just complaining to other people instead of talking to each other about their disagreements, which is a whole different other issue. Again, what about all of those amazing groups of people who absolutely agree 100% on anything and have never disagreed in their lives and are sitting around a campfire singing Kumbaya? Well, honestly, if that is a reality, then good for them. My opinion, though, is that if you agree with everything that everybody in your group has ever said, you guys probably don't have a good diversity of conversation. Point being, I believe arguing can be good because all it means at a base level is that two people disagree on something, so there's some sort of diversity in thought or opinion, and they're vocalizing it and trying to figure out if there is some sort of common ground, if there is some sort of resolution. Or maybe the only solution is that they're sharing their ideas, and that diversity and communication can be really good. For example, learning how to argue effectively can lead to enhanced problem-solving skills. Disagreements often lead to better solutions because we all have different vantage points and all see things from different angles. So when we share our disagreements, we exchange information. You have to do so in a calm manner. You have to learn to persuade someone to your point of view. But if you do it well, it is a great skill to practice, and it will serve you in so many areas of your life. Also, it'll improve your ability to communicate and articulate your points, because you'll have to explain how you got to your opinions, how you got to your conclusions or your beliefs. When you practice articulating your ideas to somebody else, you'll get a lot better and clearer understanding of your own thinking. And really, really importantly, it'll also teach you to listen. Because if you are not listening, then you are not arguing effectively. Because it takes two or more to have a constructive dialogue where you disagree. Now, sometimes conversations can get very emotionally charged, right? If you think about arguments between friends or family or couples, or even in serious competitive environments like esports, where I've been before, I think there's an upper limit to how heated your tone should get, though, personally. But I think that if you're able to communicate and also show emotion, yet not dish out anything personal and not take anything personally, you don't manipulate, you don't threaten, and all you're doing is making an impassioned case for like what you believe and what you're trying to explain to somebody else, then I'm all for it. I do believe that our emotions matter. We should be allowed to feel our emotions. I think we should be poised as well, because we shouldn't allow our emotions to take control over all of the ways that we communicate with somebody else, because we want to make sure that we remain calm and in control. But if our tones reflect a little bit of our emotion, of our passion, of how we're feeling, I think that's perfectly natural. And frustration and disagreement are very natural components of communication. And it's important to remember to not attack each other or put each other down, both trying to get towards the same type of goal. Maybe it's finding out the truth. Maybe it's finding out the best course of action. But as long as you're able to remain on the same goal, whether you are a romantic couple or you are friends, then the relationship will survive the argument. Finally, be constructive. It's always possible to go on different tangents and bring up the past and start arguing about different things that are completely irrelevant to the topic that you guys started talking about. So it's important to have good intent and to be solution oriented, to be respectful, to be considerate, aim for resolution, and have healthy debate. That way, you know that even when there's disagreement, you guys respect each other, care for each other, maybe even love each other, and are just trying to work out differences in your perspectives. Now, keep in mind that there's always a right time, right place, and right way to disagree healthily and positively. And my bottom line is that if all parties can walk away and having learned something about one another, shared something about one another, and still have respect for one another, then I think any argument that was had can still be a great thing. Look, as a coach, I practice active listening every single day. And one thing that's really important in communication is making sure that everyone feels heard and that everyone feels safe to share their thoughts. Part of open communication is having good, healthy disagreements and arguments. Worst case scenario is that you agree to disagree. And if it's a crucial point that completely changes the relationship or the teamwork that you might have, then people might go their separate ways. And that's fine. And along the way, maybe it'll test your ability to set aside your ego, learn from a different perspective, learn how somebody else communicates, speaks, and interprets your communication. And those are all learning experiences. Anyways, guys, let me know your thoughts. Be good to each other, and I will see you on the next one.